New Year's Eve by Jack Nacon. Charlie's Pub. It ain't the biggest or fanciest watering hole in the port city area, but it's comfy, the drinks are cold, the food is warm, and I love trying to support local businesses. And, I saved the owner and his wife from a rather tricky situation some time ago, and now my food's free and the drinks are discounted. Charlie was grateful, not a fool. I just finished a pub burger and fries with a cold mug of pale ale when Charlie came sweeping down the bar. "Another one, Max?" "By all means. Any more fries?" He chuckled and finished filling my mug. "Sure, coming right up." I was just taking the first sip when the phone behind the bar rang. I winced. Another part of my agreement with Charlie is that I get to use his place as one of my de facto offices. When that phone rings, it usually means there's work to do, something's gone wrong, or I owe someone money. And it's too chilly outside, and Maria's cooking is too good for me to want to deal with any of it. So, of course, Charlie snagged it. "Hello, Charlie's." "Huh? Oh, yeah, he's here. Hang on." He looked at me and held out the receiver. "Really? You couldn't wait for me to say I'm not here?" "Gotta pay for your booze somehow." He smirked as I took the phone. "Riley here." It was best not to use your full name sometimes. "Max? Thank God. Called Harry the Hoss's place. You weren't there." "I never gambled this close to New Year's," I pointed out. Then I recognized the voice. It was Morg, one of my friends who kept an ear out on the ground for employment that might be up my alley. Though with a drizzle outside, friends like that, who needs enemies? Shit, forgot. Doesn't matter. I could tell he was agitated, and how he fell back to choppy little sentences. Learning English from Goblin was like that. "Big stuff happening, Max. Big stuff. Bad stuff." "Calm down more, you'll break your glamour." Last thing the poor guy needed was to go green in the middle of a crowd somewhere. Judging by the noise on the other end, sounded like he was in a bus station or something. "No time to calm. Bad things, man. Big bad things. New Year's Eve. Got info. Meet at Triton Station. Damn it." There was, well, not silence, but the sound of small running feet, followed by larger running feet. I groaned a little and handed the phone back. "Tell Maria to cancel the fries, Chuck." He hung up the phone as I started draining my mug. "Duty calls, huh?" He grinned, and I frowned as I set the empty mug down and wiped my mouth. "Nah, duty's better looking and less likely to get me shot." I caught a cab before I got too soaked and sat back as we headed to Triton Station. I stared out the window, wondering how badly all this would go wrong. Then again, if I wanted a nice quiet life, I wouldn't hunt monsters. I should explain that, I guess. Shouldn't really surprise anyone at all that monsters are real. And no, I don't mean some metaphorical, the monsters within us crap. Vampires, Medusas, goblins, ghouls, shapeshifters, and swamp dwellers, and who knows what else. And yes, the governments know about them, and so do the churches, the temples, etc., etc., etc. Back in the bad old days, this was a problem. Monsters ate us, or enslaved us, or both, and humans in turn rebelled and slaughtered them at every turn. This, of course, became a problem because, yes, let's all say it together, they ain't all bad. So sometime back in the who the hell knows days, monsters started picking leaders who went and made deals with the UN and the secular leaders, and after ages of back and forth, came to what everyone in the know refers to as the Accord. Under it, monster folk keep hidden behind disguises and glamours, magic stuff that I don't understand. They don't run around drinking blood, eating our flesh, or sucking our souls, and we don't use every weapon, spell, and dirty trick we've picked up over the years to eradicate them. Sounds perfect, right? It took exactly 6 months for the first violation. 3 more the next month. This was where things got tricky. Who was going to police things? The monsters were supposed to keep themselves in check, but obviously not everyone took "be good" at the word of law of humans. supernatural community was supposed to take over, make a kind of police force. That failed pretty bad at the I don't give a shit feelings from most of the enforcers. Well, at least until the first government-funded team wiped out a den of ancient vampires in Dublin, and a group funded by the United Soldiers of Faith, basically paladins of every cloth but with bigger guns, destroyed every ghoul in the Shanghai area. More such groups made themselves known until the message was clear. The Accord is the only thing keeping you supernatural types alive. Let's just say monsters got a lot quieter after that. But not totally quiet. That's where folks like me come in. See, getting a full federal strike team or a clan of holy rollers isn't always the easiest. There's red tape, there's studies, they want proof, it's under their jurisdiction. It's a mess. So, freelance monster hunting became more and more prevalent. So long as you had a license from the local feds and holy folks, you could snoop, stalk, and slay monsters. This didn't mean any of those groups like you. Just they're aware of the size of the situation out there and willing to turn a blind eye at worst and toss money your way, as you might say, keep things civilized. Civilized. The cab pulled up at Triton Station and I tipped heavily. Never understood not tipping, especially the kind of people who hauled you around town. The bus station was humming tonight. People trying to get downtown or uptown or wherever. Triton was something of a crossroads. Nobody really lived nearby, so you were either going uptown, downtown, or taking the ferry out to the islands. Alright, now I'm here. Question is, if I was a 3-foot-tall goblin on the run, where would I go? I scanned the area as I moved into the station proper. Payphone groups were scattered here and there, among seats containing the impatient and the unconscious. No signs of security gathering or people calling the police, so that was a relief. I spotted a wall of storage lockers. Most are small, the kind of place you'd leave your ID or keys or something. But others, you could hang your coat in there. Or, say, duck in one if you were short enough. I walked along the row slowly, tapping a knuckle on each one, trying to seem nonchalant. About 6 lockers in, someone finally knocked back. I knelt down like I was checking my laces and muttered, "That you, Morg?" "No, it's your fairy godmother." "Oh, good. I've been meaning to talk to you about that lousy date I had." "Get me out of here, smartass." "I'd love to, but you see, it's locked." "Oh. Hang on." There's a lot of banging and shuffling. "Not that pocket." More banging. "Nope, hang on. Got it here somewhere." People were starting to give me funny looks as they passed. "Ha! Got it." I watched the key wiggle out of the little opening and dropped into my palm. 5 minutes later, Morg was stretching his back and complaining about pins and needles in his feet. "You know how long I was in there?" Looking down at the little guy, I couldn't have guessed. The thing about Glamour Spell was it kept you looking how you were supposed to. So Morg looked like a really short guy, close-cut black hair, green squinty eyes, and a nose and ears that maybe seemed a little bigger than they should be. I suppose if he dropped the glam, he'd probably be a sweaty, pitch-black hair sticking out in all directions, and his long green nose and ears bent from being stuffed in a locker for, I'd say, about an hour. "Oh, so you can tell time." It was amazing to listen to Morg talk. Most of the time he sounded like an annoyed shopkeeper who's sure you're pocketing things. But you get him scared and he'd drop back to gob English so fast. "You're the one who called me, Morg. If you don't want to talk, I'll happily go back to my evening." No. Hang on. Apologies." Morg's eyes widened like I jump-started his brain. "Something bad's going down. Something really bad." He looked around and motioned me to follow, heading for the door to the harbor. "Please tell me we're not heading for the ferry," I groaned quietly. "Of course we are. Why would I go out this door otherwise?" Call it a vain hope. I sighed and Morg shook his head, pointing toward one of the docked ferries. The sign by it said Starshine Island and listed itself as off-duty. Funny. Sure seemed to be a lot of people hauling things aboard for an off-duty ferry. I ducked behind a dock sign and muttered, "Okay, I'm here, I'm getting soaked, and I'm seeing creeps on a boat. What's the story, Morg?" "Some kind of cultists." Morg shuddered. "Big bad ones, though. Got a sorcerer with them. Tattoos that move and hiss. Bad. I frowned. That wasn't good. Cults pop up all the time, occasionally even manage to summon something. Or at least get something's attention. But if they already had a sorcerer with shadow ink... Any idea what they're gonna summon?" Yeah. Overheard before I run call you. Star alignments, planetary something or other. And tonight, big bad summon, whole realm." I snorted. "Slow down, short stuff. There's no way you can summon a whole realm to Earth. Okay, yeah, you need stars and planets, but that would make tonight..." I trailed off at the look on his face. "It's New Year's Eve, Max," he said flatly. Shit. Look, in my defense, most supernatural types don't bother with New Year's. It lacks the bite of Samhain, or the solstices, or the holy energy of Christmas or Hanukkah. Heck, it usually doesn't even have the oomph of St. Patrick's or Valentine's. The problem is, if you get a good nasty bit of cosmic alignment, and mix in the symbolisms of starting over and New Year, you can have that oomph. Now, I could have chucked this over to official channels. Hell, this is the kind of thing that could stir federal footwear, and I can guarantee the Holy Rollers would be rolling up in no time. Problem was, the officials took the word of a freelancer, well, not very far. They'd want to send their investigators. They'd want to secure solid proof or enough evidence. And the word of one goblin and one schmuck like me? Not even close. This was mildly annoying when you had time to deal with this kind of thing. When you're talking 2 hours to midnight in a boat that's looking ready to cast off. Well, I didn't pay the fees for my license for nothing. I was on a dead run at the ferry as it started pulling out, half carrying Morg with me. I guess Shock had glued his tongue because he didn't start complaining or trying to strangle me until I jumped across and hid us behind some large puncheon crates. "What are you doing?" he squeaked, tiny but strong hands cutting off my windpipe. I managed to pry my throat free and whisper, "Look, someone's got to stop this, and right now, someone is you and me. Now, I'm going to figure out who's who at the zoo here. You, my friend, do what you do best." "Ticket people for having unsafe floor plans and out-of-date safety measures?" Did I mention Morg was a city inspector? Loved his job, too. I was hoping more along the traditional goblin ideal of find ways to fuck up someone's plans and cause general chaos. "That's very small-minded of you." "So you won't do it?" "Hey, I'm off duty. It's New Year's, and there's got to be booze around here somewhere. I'm in." "You are a conundrum wrapped in green skin." "You're just too small-minded." He smirked and killed the glamour, his natural goblin form far better suited for scurry, hide, and attack. For myself, well, one of the goons let me borrow his hooded duster after a tap or two with my blackjack, and so I set off trying to find out who the head of this oncoming disaster was. It didn't take long. The guy was holding court, or I guess mass, in the covered part of the boat, looking pretty much like you'd expect someone planning to stir up Armageddon should look. Shaved head, big dark circles round his eyes, dressed in a mix of leathers with little bits of bone and wood stitched or tacked on. He even had a staff, with a skull on top for pity's sake. It was almost disgustingly cliché. Then again, the tattoos that writhed and slithered on his skin was a nice touch. Disturbing as hell, but unique. It actually hurt the look of them for too long, which was a really bad sign. Meant they were either curses or, horrifying possibility, living extra-dimensional beings. Either one made direct approach, i.e. shooting him right now, a poor idea. If they were curses, they'd probably shield him and put me in a world of hurt. If they were beings, well, killing him might kick off the very thing I'm trying to stop. Never simple. I mutter as I take in the rest of the scene. There had to be at least 20 other people, including the hooded guard-looking folks. They were all trying to copy their glorious leader, though most of them came down to dirty leather clothes and, thankfully, non-moving tats. Every time Baldy would rattle off some "Age of humanity is ending" and "We are the new age" type of jargon, they'd go into throes of ecstasy. I'll never understand idiots like this. They can't get along in society, understandable, yet they somehow think some ancient nightmare from beyond the void or veil or whatever is going to go, "Oh yeah, you are world-ruling material," and give them Canada or something, rather than, I don't know, devour their souls and make thrones out of their remains. Well, I still buy lotto tickets, so to each their own delusion, I guess. I do my best to blend in as I edge around the end of the world jubilee, taking in the decorations. No summoning circles or altars set up yet. Guess they need the right place, right time set up. Good. That was good. That meant even if all we had to do was delay them, it might be enough to throw a wrench in this madness. It takes a moment for me to realize the head honcho has stopped proselytizing and seems to be listening to one of his tattoos. He turned his head to look at me dead in the eyes and smiles. Crap. Well, brothers and sisters. We have an uninvited guest with us this evening. He makes a motion, and I'm flanked by two other guys in guard gear, both of them about a foot taller than me. Don't be shy, friend. Why not take off that borrowed hood a bit? Y'all must be sweating up a storm. Ugh. Does he have to use the southern twang? Can't tell if it's real or not, but come on. I pulled down the hood, shrugged. I was fine. Kinda chilly tonight, you know? Oh, absolutely, good sir. Boys, do bring our friend Mr. Riley closer to the fire, I got frog marched to the trash can fire Baldy had blazing between him and the crowd. They were watching me with a mix of astonishment, anger, and in a few disturbing cases, hunger. I suppose you're curious as to how I know your name, Mr. Max Riley. The guy is strutting now, rattling his skull and his staff with each step. Not really. You seem fairly clever, so you'd probably have checked out anyone who might be a problem for you. Which accounts for going to Starshine? Keep under the radar? Close. You see, currently the planetary alignment has fallen. But I see you're not a connoisseur of astrology. Suffice to say, if I want to offer in a proper new year, we gotta be on this so-called Starshine Island. Boy, I hated the way he said proper. Just all kinds of nasty implications. Honestly, when my boys chased your little friend, I kind of thought you'd be here all gung-ho, shoot first, ask questions later. Yeah, well, my resolution is to surprise more people. How am I doing? Not so well, I'm afraid. He pulls a mock-sympathetic face, and I can hear his flock laughing. Boy, does that stop when something in the bowels of the ship go whoomp. Suddenly, warning lights and alarms are going off everywhere. The smug look left Mr. Spooky's face so fast I felt it hit the floor. His eyes locked on me, and God help me, I couldn't help myself. Surprise! Thank you, Morgue. Whatever the little guy had done must have been a hell of a thing. The guards were rushing in and out, and what started as whispers in the boss's ears soon became shouting as more noises, notably the tortured groan of metal given up the ghost, started coming up from below, and the boat started listing to one side. The hull's breached, master. Shut up and fix it! Baldy screamed back, his tats writhing, hissing, and making little shrieks. I'd love to say this is where I broke free of my gods and got into some serious action movie shootout martial arts spectacular. I did not. The goons holding me either had nerves of steel or quite probably were some kind of summons, because they didn't let go of my arms even as everyone around them was racing about trying to figure out how to stop sinking or how the hell to get off a sinking ship. As such, I was pretty much forced to stay there while Baldy got in my personal space. What did you do? Good Lord, his breath was rancid. Well, see, I have this special magic where I make boats sink with my mind. It's very niche, I know. He punched me right in the gut for that one. Can't really blame him, I guess. It was pretty smart-ass of me. Who else is here? Tell me! Little green guy, about about hip height. Propensity for destruction when given permission. And now I grinned. And boy, did I give him permission. Yeah, I was gonna die. I could tell by the look in his eyes and the way he pulled a knife the size of my forearm from a sheath on his back. Probably should have considered that. You think this is gonna stop us, you spawn of the light? We'll swim to that damn island if we have to. But I'm afraid your little stunt means you'll have to stay on board. He lifted the blade for what I'm sure was going to be either a decapitation or a heart stab. Deus Vult! And suddenly, Baldy wasn't there anymore. Or, more to the point, his head wasn't there anymore. Sorry, one more time. His head was everywhere, including on my face, and I got some in my effing mouth. Sorry, it's not a fun memory. The figure standing behind the slumping body of the former cult leader / warlock was dressed in what looked like body armor someone had done up to look like ye old Crusader armor, complete with a big red cross and an honest-to-God big-ass metal mace. Said mace was less shiny than the rest, given it was now covered in blood and brain matter. For those of you keeping score, the United Soldiers of Faith had apparently arrived. And judging by the screaming, splattery sounds and occasional bright flashes of light, they were cleaning house. I only realized my arms were free when I smelled brimstone and was standing in 2 piles of empty clothes. 2 more summons dealt with. I almost stained my pants as the voice boomed behind me. A glance over my shoulder revealed another paladin, this one holding a pair of thick blades that glowed with white fire. I never said these guys weren't badass, just too many rules. Max Riley. The mace wielder addressed me. Are you injured? We have a healer waiting at the bow of this vessel. I'm good, but you might want to deal with that. I pointed to the pile of writhing flesh and ink that used to be Baldy, which looked less like a corpse, and more like a mass of arms and claws and teeth looking for something to latch onto. I hurried out of the way as the 2 of them could blast it with whatever holy light and smite they had on hand, making for the front of the boat, mostly because the rear had more water on deck than I was comfortable with. I found Morg sitting on one of the outside seats, serenely smoking a cigarette in full glamour again. Do I dare ask what you did? I chuckled as I took a seat next to him. All around us, people in armor were rounding up the loonies and smiting summoned gods, while a group of healers dressed in what looked like white robes waited patiently to see if anyone needed a limb attached or something. Morg shrugged. The engines on these things are older than I am. Doesn't take much to get them to go kerblooey. He blew a smoke ring. Of course, it helps if you pack the area around it with all sort of Bernie Boom Boom stuff. And brother, did these nuts have Bernie Boom Boom. Yeah, don't doubt that. So how'd these folks get here? I found a radio. You have a frequency for the USF? Frequency, phone number, scran symbol. They pay almost as well as you do. No fooling. No feds? Heh! He blows a smoke ring. Them I can barely get a square meal's worth. Wait a sec. So that means you could have called in these holy folk at any time and I wouldn't be soaked to the bone and nursing a bruise on my gut? They respond faster when I mention your name. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You really want to know? I considered that and shook my head. Nah, I really don't. It took another hour to get back to shore, and most of that was giving the USF my statement and, funnily enough, getting paid. Apparently, they decided to give Morgan me a nice little bonus. Informants bonus. The little guy was right. They pay almost as much as I do. I took my cash and made a beeline for Charlie's pub. I was already planning on the steak and baked potato I was going to get, with something nice and frothy on the side. The bell jangled as I stepped in, shaking the drizzle off my coat. I was just about to start ordering when I realized Charlie was holding the phone behind the bar. He catches my eye and grinned. Oh no. Charlie turned and, covering the mouthpiece, called out, "Another one, Max?" The end.